application here for us. It's important to remember that what had happened just before this moment. Do you remember? One of these two criminals had repented. He said, "Lord, remember me in your kingdom." One of these wicked men defended the honor and the righteousness of Jesus and said Jesus had done nothing wrong. And then he said, "Lord," he put himself in submission to Christ. He said, "Remember me." So this man was saved on the cross that day, and Jesus promised him, "You're going to be with me today in paradise." But I want you to see here the grace of God and the forgiveness of God did not deliver him from more agony. His knees and his legs were broken in a horrendous way, so he would suffer suffocation on the cross. Listen, friends, the point of this is conversion is not instant heaven, but it always leads to heaven. We live in a broken world. Just because you've trusted in Jesus doesn't mean everything immediately gets better in life. Sometimes things get harder. Romans chapter 8, verse 18 says that I consider the sufferings of this present time we are living in not worth comparing to the glory that will be revealed to us. That's Paul, an apostle, speaking. This world is broken. There is sufferings in the present time. Heaven is not instantaneous, but we will get to heaven if we've trusted in Jesus. How about what Peter says to the church as they suffer in chapter 1 of his letter? He says there, "In this you rejoice, though now for a little while. If necessary, you have been grieved by various trials on this earth." Why? So that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to result in the praise and glory and honor at the revelation, at the coming of Jesus Christ. Why do I bring this up? Because just so we're all clear, you're a Christian, you've believed on Jesus, you're not exempt from suffering in this world. This thief believes on Jesus gloriously. First conversion at the cross. First one to believe at the cross. What an honor that is. Yet he suffers more as this Roman hammer or mallet or iron bar strikes and crushes his legs, and he begins to suffocate in this moment. I bring this up because this week I read a report from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. It was a report that as a pastor, it worried me. It actually really crushed me to read. That the stresses of this season of COVID-19, living through a pandemic, have led to devastating mental suffering in people. Let me give you just a few statistics from the report from the CDC. If you are ages 18 to 24, in the last 30 days, 25.5% of people ages 18 to 24 have seriously contemplated suicide. Did you hear that? 25%. By the way, suicide rates in teenagers up 75%. If you don't think that having to wear a mask and be locked in your home and lose your job and not go to school and not have friends and not have community is not affecting us as a people, you are ignorant to the truth. 75% rates of increase in suicide, 25.5% rate of increase in serious suicidal thoughts in 18 to 24. How about in the bracket of ages 25 to 44? It goes down a little, but still 16% of people ages 25 to 44 have thought about taking their life in a serious way in the last 30 days. How about those who have contracted an anxiety or depressive disorder in the last 30 days? Bracket 18 to 24, 62% of 18 to 24-year-olds have a serious anxiety or depressive disorder right now. How about the second bracket, 25 to 44, 44%. Some of you are hanging on by a thread right now because of what we're all walking through together. Emphasis on together. I wrote our deacons this week, and I told those men I love each and every one of them. And I told them that is why it is integral that we never again close the doors of the church. no matter what anyone says. We must be resolute to what God has said in His Word. There is a safe way to worship God. And let me tell you, what if the church wasn't open? What would those numbers be? Some of you are hanging on by a thread. And what I want to say to you, if you have anxiety, depression, if you have had those deep, dark thoughts, number one, it doesn't mean God doesn't love you. It doesn't mean God's done with you. Do you hear me? So what do? You remember that just because you're a believer doesn't mean there's no suffering in this world. You remember that you have to fight those things with your all, which means you can't disengage more. You've got to engage with the people of God. You've got to get into the church on Sunday morning no matter what. You've got to fight for your mental health and joy. What does that mean? That means when the bad thoughts come, you got to memorize Philippians 4:8. Whatsoever things are true or pure or honest or of good report, if there's anything lovely, think on these things. This means you got to have someone you can talk to. Every day you need to talk and pray. Every day you need to practice your faith. Every day you need to get out and get sunlight and enjoy the creation of God. You might need to take some fish oil and some vitamin D to help your brain. You might need to go see a doctor. You might need to get counseling. But ultimately, this does not mean that God doesn't love you or that you're on your own. This is a broken world, believer. And we need to do this together. We need Christ. We need Him desperately. This passage here, this thief saying, Lord, remember me. Can you get more desperate than that? He's about to die. Lord, remember me. Jesus didn't forget about him as his legs, his kneecaps were crushed by that mallet. And as he suffered suffocation, he was not alone. Fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand, the Lord says.